Hello and welcome to What's in the Night Sky for August 2021. I'm Hayley, and this month I'm going to be talking to you about the planets Jupiter and Saturn at opposition, the Perseid meteor shower, and the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 15 lunar landing mission. Let's start by taking a look at Jupiter and Saturn. You can see here that I'm looking towards the south on the 1st of August around 11 o'clock, and both planets are quite prominent in the night sky. Both Saturn and Jupiter are going to reach opposition this month. Saturn reaches opposition first on the 2nd of August, and we talked a little bit last month about viewing Saturn and the opposition of Saturn and Saturn's moons. Something to look out for around opposition if you do have a small telescope is an effect sometimes known as the opposition surge, and it will occur for the couple of days around opposition, and you're looking for the rings suddenly appearing to be brighter than they are at other times. The best way to see the effect is to view Saturn on the run up to opposition and past opposition, so that you can see the difference in how the rings look at opposition compared to at other times. So an interesting effect to look out for, remembering that at opposition planets appear to be brighter and larger than they do at other times. So this month is a really brilliant time to observe both Saturn and Jupiter. Both of them are visible pretty much all night throughout the month, so as soon as it gets dark you can go out, take a look at your southeastern horizon, and you'll see Jupiter and Saturn there. We're around 11 o'clock at the moment. If we on the 1st, if we move through the month, you'll see that after the sun sets they get a little bit higher as the month goes on. If we take a quick look at Jupiter, and Jupiter's opposition occurs on the 19th of the month. And you can see here that we've got Jupiter's familiar equatorial cloud bands and 4 Galilean moons as well. You'll certainly be able to pick out all of this with a small telescope, and you may be able to pick out Jupiter and its moons with a pair of binoculars if you have a nice steady hand and good conditions as well. Let's take a look at the moon now. If we go to the 21st of August, and you can see that we have a full moon on the 21st. Bearing in mind that with Jupiter's opposition on the 19th, the full moon will interfere a little bit with Jupiter around its time of opposition. But you should still be able to get some good views of the planet, and you'll also be able to get good views of Jupiter all the way through the month as well, when the moon isn't so much in the way. I thought this month we'd take a look at the site of the Apollo 15 mission, because this month is the 50th anniversary of that mission. Apollo 15 was the first of the longer duration Apollo missions, so it carried extra fuel and consumables, enabling them to stay on the moon for quite a while longer than the previous missions, about twice as long. And they were also the first mission to carry a lunar rover, so they were able to explore a much wider area of the moon than the missions that had come before. The Apollo 15 mission landed in the Apennine Mountain area. So this area that I'm sweeping out with my mouse now is the Apennine Mountains. And they explored an area around the Hadley Rill. And a rill is, the word rill comes from German for groove. So a rill is a groove in the lunar surface. The Hadley Rill is close to the Apennine mountain range around this area. And if you have a large telescope at home, you may be able to see the Hadley Rill with your telescope. You need a telescope really 8 inches in diameter or larger, so quite a big instrument for an amateur. But if you do have a telescope like that at home, then you can have a go at spotting the Hadley Rill. You will need to have really good seeing conditions as well, a nice, steady, clear sky, because the rill itself is only about 2 kilometres across. If you don't have a large telescope at home, that's fine, because you can have a look for the Apennine mountain range. You should be able to pick that out with a pair of binoculars. You can also have a look for the Mare Imbrium, which I'm ringing with my mouse now, or the Sea of Showers. And the idea of the Apollo 15 mission was to explore the area around the Sea of Showers and to understand more about the impact that formed that basin. of the Sea of Showers. The Apollo 15 mission was crewed by David Scott, Al Worden and James Irwin, and they collected samples from the Apennine Highlands and from the Imbrium Basin as well, and brought them back to Earth to be studied. Other things to look out for in this area, so we've got the Mare Imbrium or Sea of Showers here. This little bit that's punched out of the edge is known as the Bay of Rainbows, so you can have a go if you've got a pair of binoculars, see if you can pick out the Bay of Rainbows. The Mare Imbrium itself you'll be able to see with your naked eye, and this dark crater here on the edge of the Sea of Showers is known as the Plato crater, so you can have a go and see if you can spot that as well. Let's take a look at our constellation of the month now, which is Perseus the hero. So I've just swung us around to the northeast, and the easiest way to locate Perseus, here it is to find the constellation of Cassiopeia first. Cassiopeia has this really distinctive W or M shape in the night sky. It's quite easy to pick out, so if you can find Cassiopeia first, then that will help you to navigate this area of sky. So below Cassiopeia here we have Perseus. If we put the art on, you can see that Perseus is depicted as the hero carrying the head of the Gorgon Medusa. So the story goes that Perseus slayed the evil Gorgon Medusa, who could turn people into stone just by looking at them. And he also rescued the Princess Andromeda, who's depicted over here, from the sea monster, and then later married her. If we take the art off, and while we're in this area of sky looking at Perseus, Cassiopeia and Andromeda, then there are some interesting things to look for. So one is the Andromeda Galaxy, which you can see over here, and that is the most distant object that you can see with your naked eye. So if you can find the Andromeda Galaxy with your naked eye, it will look like a little fuzzy patch. You know that you are looking at a completely separate galaxy to our own. You will need a nice dark sky and good eyesight to pick it out with your naked eye. You can also have a go at it with a pair of binoculars or a small telescope, and that will make it just a little bit brighter and easier to find. The other thing to look out for is between the constellations of Cassiopeia and Perseus, you can look for the famous double cluster. Again, the double cluster is visible with the naked eye just if you have good conditions, but the easiest way to find it, if you have a pair of binoculars, you can sweep around this area of sky in between Cassiopeia and Perseus to look for the double cluster. And as I zoom in, you can see the double cluster appears over here. And that cluster is 7,500 light years away, and it's full of young, hot, supergiant stars, many, many times brighter than the sun. So that's a nice object to look out for in this area of sky. And the other one, if we go into the constellation of Perseus itself, is the variable star Algol, which is also known as the demon star. And it's one of the most famous variable stars in the night sky because its variation in brightness you can track with your naked eye, and it has a period of about 3 days. So if you observe Algol over the course of a few days, you should be able to see its brightness waxing and waning over that time. If we go to the 12th of August, that will bring us to the peak of the Perseid meteor shower. So the peak this year occurs between 8 and 11 p.m. on the 12th. So the night of the 12th, early morning of the 13th is the best time to observe this meteor shower. Let's put meteor showers on actually, and you'll be able to see where the radiant is. So here's the radiant of the meteor shower. You don't have to look near the radiant. You can look at any region of the sky. Look about 60 degrees above the horizon, and you should see some meteors. Meteors, often we refer to them as shooting stars, and they occur when tiny grains of dust in space hit our atmosphere and get vaporized, and we see that as a trail or a shooting star. And they can occur at any time. but meteor showers occur when the Earth passes through a stream of debris, which has been left behind by an asteroid or a comet. In the case of the Perseids, their debris is left behind by Comet Swift-Tuttle, and the Earth passes through that debris stream every year in August, and we get the Perseid meteor shower. The best way to observe it, or any meteor shower actually, is to find the darkest location that you can, away from artificial lights. So if you can get out into the countryside, into a dark location, that's great. If you can't, then just try not to have any artificial lights in your eye line, and that will help you. Go outside, let your eyes adjust for 20 to 30 minutes to the dark. That's really important because it means that your eyes will be adapted enough to be able to spot those fainter meteors. And make sure you're nice and comfortable. So my favourite way to observe a meteor shower is on a sun lounger, because you can lie back, you can be comfortable, you can get a really good view of the sky. If you've got a sleeping bag or a blanket to keep yourself warm, even though it's the summer, it can still get quite chilly. When you're getting into the early hours of the morning, a nice hot drink as well can be good. And just lie back and just enjoy the meteor shower, look for meteors. If you're lucky, you might get to see a fireball, which is an extra bright meteor, which sometimes can leave a trail after it's gone as well. Sometimes they occur with a bright flash. And if you do need a little bit of light, then the best thing to do is to use a red torch, or a torch with a red filter if you have one, because that won't wreck your night vision. If you switch on an artificial source of white light whilst you're doing your observing, then you're going to need to wait again for 20 to 30 minutes for your eyes to adapt to the dark. The moon sets at 10:30 on the 12th, so it's a good year for the Perseids because the moon isn't going to be getting in the way with all of its annoying light. If you do find that your weather is bad on the 12th, then all is not lost, because you should be able to see Perseid meteors for most of the month, and certainly the few days before and after the peak. So try and get out and observe all around the 12th, and hopefully you'll get at least one night where it's clear enough to see a few meteors. Let's finish by taking a look at the International Space Station. There were some amazing opportunities to spot the ISS in July. There aren't as many in August. One that I can show you is occurring on August the 30th at around 5 o'clock in the morning. So one for the early risers among you. So looking towards the west for the ISS coming over, I'm just going to take us to 5:01, and there you go, you can see the ISS. And if I just speed things up a little bit, you can see the ISS and the path it will take as it goes over on the 30th of August. As always, you can find details of more opportunities to see it on the Spot the Station website. That brings me to the end of our night sky tour for August 2021. I hope that you managed to see some meteors this month, and I'll be back next month to talk about what we can see in September.